Hola gente, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a Pelas y Series, yo soy Pancho de Piedrola y acá en Pelas y Series hablamos de películas, series, documentales y mucho más que pueden encontrar en las plataformas de streaming más populares para que vean en la comodidad de su casa con la gente que ustedes deseen. Bueno, la semana pasada se estrenó en Netflix una genial película del género de los zombies. Estoy hablando de El ejército de los muertos, dirigida nada más y nada menos que por el mismísimo Zack Snyder. Vamos a ver la entrevista que le hicimos.
It's a different take on movies about zombies. It's a combination of different genres. We see zombies, super zombies, guns. We see a money heist. We see even a little emotion, and we see even some fun time. So, what made you realize to combine all these genres?
Yeah, I'm sort of obsessed with this particular tone that I was trying to reach in the film, and that is I say my way of saying it is like have fun but don't make fun. Get the movie to the edge but don't break it. You know what I mean? Because this, I always feel like there is this kind of humor that can be laced through the film. There's this kind of genre expectation, that is to say, we got to nuke the city. We got, all the ticking clock, the safe, the everything. So for me, it was really an experiment, sort of cinematic tropes, the different expectation of different tropes that you see in these kinds of films and how to best kind of weave them together, if you're like a film student, you could take the movie apart and be like, oh, there's Escape from New York, and there's whether it's like the original Planet of the Apes or Aliens or all these kind of really The Thing, all these kind of very specific genre films, or Ocean's 11 for that matter. But and then how though do I deconstruct it? Because my whole thing was like being genre self-aware, but without, as I said, letting the viewer off the hook with the drama and the sort of emotion of what's happening in the context of the film.
Yeah. So this is not your first zombie movies. I'm talking about Dawn of the Dead. Mm-hmm. What made you explore this genre again after almost 15 years?
Yeah, I had the idea for Army I had right after I made Dawn, because I was obsessed with the sort of tone, the tone of that movie. If you noticed in Watchmen, some of the tone of Dawn of the Dead is kind of in Watchmen. And it's that kind of, and then some of that tone, Watchmen tone, is in Army as well, like how it deals with the news media and how it deals with kind of the way it deconstructs icons, I think is reminds me in some ways of Watchmen and Dawn. It's like those two movies combined in some ways.
Are Army and Dawn in the same universe?
No.
Definitely not.
There's one Easter egg, very small Easter egg, that suggests at least that it tips its hat to Dawn, but doesn't. But I don't think they live it. They're not in the same world.
Okay. Why did you choose Vegas as the location for the movie?
I feel like when you're talking about genre, zombie genre, you're always talking about this sort of social commentary of some kind, and I just felt like on the first bounce, Vegas and zombies feel like like it's an easy place to become a zombie.
Yeah. Okay. So why do you think we love zombie movies? What is it so appealing? to the audience?
Yeah, well, I think that zombies as a monster are, you know, I think it's survived because we're the ultimate monster, you know, like us without our humanity is a pretty scary thing, you know? And I think that's why, you know, we keep exploring the monster is us, the monster is us, you know? And I think that in what I try to do in Army is say, maybe even the monster is not only us, but the monster might be a better version of us. And I think that is even scarier because then we really are kind of replaceable.
That's right. Is Army the beginning of a new franchise? Are you planning on making further movies of
that
this
would
universe?
be amazing. I mean, we've already made one additional film, which we shot in Germany that Matthias directed. And then I'm also doing an animated series that is like goes into the origins, you know, of the zombie plague.
That's great. So we've seen a lot of different zombie movies in the past decades. What can zombie fans expect different about this particular movie?
Yeah, well, I think that the difference is kind of a little bit about what I talked about before with how we've evolved these zombies. I mean, I think that the one thing I think you can expect from me is that I do sort of, I clearly understand the basic rules of the zombie genre and/or zombie world, but I really did try and take the viewer to a new place with this one and really try to give them an experience that they can't necessarily see coming. And I think that that's something that could be fun for someone who's a fan of the genre anyway.
Yeah. So there's also a little maybe political commentary in the movie. It's inevitable to make a comparison between our virus outbreak and the outbreak in the movie. Was this intended the whole time, or did you? Well, you mentioned you had the idea before the pandemic, so it was just a coincidence.
No, we shot the movie before the pandemic. Yeah, the movie was shot entirely before the pandemic, so it was a very anything you see in the movie that has a relationship to the pandemic was there before the pandemic happened.
Wow.
So it has a purity in that way, you know. It has sort of a naivete, I guess, in some ways.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which I think is probably refreshing. But certainly, you know, because we were fascinated with this notion that the zombie plague could be politicized. And it's interesting when you see the conversations that take place within the world, the political conversations that take place within our world about the zombie outbreak. And then if you look at kind of our current situation, it's interesting to see, well, how the politics are almost flipped or different or whatever. It's kind of fun and fascinating.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Snyder, we're out of time, but thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Oh, that was great. Thank you very much.
Bueno, entonces ya saben, este fin de semana, si quieren ver una película que tenga zombies, que tenga acción, que tenga un poco de comedia, que tenga emoción, una amalgama de géneros, pero con el toque y el sello de Zack Snyder, uno de los directores más reconocidos del momento, ya saben, pueden encontrar su película El ejército de los muertos en Netflix. Eso fue todo por ahora. Nos vemos la próxima semana acá en Pelas y Series.